Morning, everybody. It's John from Veganism Kills at 6:20 a.m., January 30th. Today, we're going to go over some records that I was able to find on Surge, their financial records. And I did pick up an anomaly, and it has a story behind it. A story that I was also able to research, and I did make a video of it. Now to the record. Surge Campaigning CIC. Okay, most of you are familiar with this. This is where they raised the campaign money to buy the Surge Sanctuary. It's a community interest corporation, not a charity. They couldn't get registration as a charity because there were anomalies. They didn't fit the criteria. Now, the last excuse Ed gave was that you can't get a restaurant registered as a charity. Well, this isn't a restaurant. So there is something in the books that the people at the registry house do not like. Take it from somebody whose company's listed on Dun & Bradstreet and worked for banks as a consultant for over 20 years. There's something funny going on here. Let's continue. This is the unaudited financial statement for the period July 29, 2019 to July 31st, 2020. Okay, they claim there's Edward Gaughan's signature. You can clearly see it right there. He's the only person in charge of all the funding, as there are no other signatures on there. There's no board. There's only one director with total signature authority and total control over all the money in Surge Campaigning CIC. That much is identifiable by just looking at the only officer that signed the financial statement. They're one Lord and Master right there. Now, I see two things wrong with this. Now, we all know Surge Campaigning was the money that was used to buy the sanctuary. The sanctuary is 18 acres in the Midlands in the UK. They paid approximately £2.3 million for it. Yet what do we see on this book? What's wrong with this book that I could pick up? Where is the £2.3 million in assets? It's not listed here. Where is it listed? If you use Surge Campaigning CIC money to buy an asset, then Surge Campaigning CIC actually owns that asset and would put that asset along with their debts and cash at bank and include it in here. It's not here. Where is it? At this current time, either the money has to be here that was used to buy the farm, or the farm has to be listed as an asset. It's neither. The only reason that could happen is the asset is under somebody else's name. In other words, Edward Gaughan's name is on the deed, and that farm is now considered his personal property. Sort of like the same thing James Espy did. He took donor money, telling everybody it was a charitable contribution, and then he used the money for his own self-interest. That's not hard to understand. But we're going to give Ed a benefit of the doubt because he filed an amended financial statement. Notice it's unaudited, so you could scribble anything on these unaudited financial statements. Only a £4,000 difference. Again, if you bought an asset from the cash on Surge Campaigning CIC books, that asset has to be listed on as current asset. It is not. That's a big anomaly. And why is it being done that way? You have to ask the director. This looks pretty suspicious. And here's the confirmation statement. there's not much to see on that. But I would like to know who is doing the accounting for Surge Campaigning CIC. Every book has to have a debit. If it has a debit, it has to have a credit. Yet we don't see the credit here because the asset is obviously not part of Surge Campaigning CIC, even though the money from Surge Campaigning CIC was used to buy the farm. The asset wasn't returned to their books. It's somewhere else. And speaking of anomalies, I don't know if any of you people heard the kind of problem that Voices of the Anonymous had with Ed, in which Roger, the investor in these fake activists, which basically means big pharma, fake paid activist, Roger was unsatisfied that there was an anomaly on the books, that some of these activists that he invested in, it's just twisting worded. They're paid activists, but they'll word it to make it look like something innocent. So they'll have to, we don't pay them. No, we invest in them. No, you pay them. They're on your payroll, and they follow your fucking orders. Just like Ed followed your orders to come to the United States and start pushing fake meat. Why? Because sales of fake meat in the United States aren't doing too well. So they send Ed out to do their public marketing for them because he's a paid activist. I won't even say activist. He's a marketeer. Now, back to the Voices of the Anonymous. Now, Ed made Joey Armstrong go over to Voices of the Anonymous and ask them for their books. Now, Voices of the Anonymous turned around, rightfully so, and said, no, we're not giving you your books. Though you may have donated some cash to us, you have no right to see our books. The same excuse that Ed uses with his campaigning irregularities. So Joey told them he demanded the books or he's going to cut funding. They turned around and said, cut funding. We're not showing you books. We're not going under your thumb. We're not going to work for Big Pharma like you do. You see, Voices of the Anonymous should have told everybody the whole story, because I think they realized they were being strong-armed by Big Pharma, and that Ed was getting his money from Big Pharma and in turn sending it to them and telling them that they had to do what he wanted in order to keep receiving that money. And they might have done something that came out of line, like noticed that they were taking payments for Big Pharma and said, we don't want nothing to do with it. And that's it. That's that story. I done a video on that. Joey Armstrong is Ed's little bug-eyed fucking mini Manson that goes out and strong-arms other vegan activists. And he's supposed to be peace-loving people. He sent Joey Armstrong because of his deep knowledge of accounting. Yeah, he learned that in prison when he was in there for stabbing people, weapons charges, and all sorts of friggin' crimes, including drug dealing. And he was a meth head. That's the person you send over to find out accounting details. These people call themselves the Vegan Mafia for a reason. Figure it out, people. And on that note, I'm out of here. These people are disgusting. And I'll see you all later.